terms of uptake of my product, right? So perception monitoring can very nicely happen, and that can happen through your own peers. People will come back and tell you, yeah, your campaign is doing well. Yeah, it's doing well, even if it is a small campaign. And let's say 5 people have come up to you and say that, yeah, it's nice, it's good. It means, yes, you're in a positive direction. So 2 things very important: performance indication and perception indication. And then take a hunch decision. We are no rocket scientists who can always keep crunching data. We got to also use our hunch at times. So yeah, that's what I do.
Amardeep Singh spoke of exactly the same thing, except he used a term called Net Promoter Score. Right? It essentially means if this half of the room hates my product, but this half likes it. If there are 10 more people sitting on this side, I have a positive Net Promoter Score. Right? So these people are going to tell 10 more people, but these people will also tell 10 more people. Right? So at the end, do I have more promoters than I have detractors? If you're not getting that, and if that NPS is not increasing, you know there's something wrong, and you need to go back, look at your product, and figure out what you can fix to increase that, right? Because word of mouth, honestly, and I'm going to put it in a different way. What is viral marketing? It's word of mouth, right? If you delight one customer, they're going to tell 10 others, right? So word of mouth or viral is actually the end result of what you do. That can't be the objective of your marketing campaign. I want to run a viral marketing campaign. What are you going to brief the agency? Give me a viral marketing campaign. It'll go viral if the content and which starts from your brief is powerful and impactful and is clear in what it wants to say and why it wants to say and is relevant to your consumer. It'll go viral if it's powerful. Otherwise it won't. So, and that is, like he said, it's owned media and earned media. It doesn't cost you money as much as paid media does.
Apart from the qualitative pieces spoke about, simple, I think if you were to take some 4 metrics, one is new customer addition, revenue generation, retention, customer lifetime value. These are the 4 things that one should always look at on the dashboard. And I don't think so much of shares, likes or retweets can be the performance parameter. Right. And when you look at the first 4 parameters, and if that's working,
not unless your Facebook is.
Actually, it's very, it's funny that you bring that up. I know of a lot of agencies that have got the brief. Give me a viral campaign. I want this campaign to go viral tomorrow. Like, okay, how many of you have ever got a brief? I want this to go viral. How many of you are marketers over here? Have you guys ever been told, get this viral for me? Yes? See, a couple of hands there? Yeah, okay. That is a problem right now. So coming to the last thing, right? Now, if you could give us a few examples, right, from your past, where you've seen things work out for you, right, in terms of marketing campaigns, and why have they worked out, right? If you could just go into a bit more detail.
Sure. So I'm going to talk of one of my sort of personal favorites, which was Fastrack's first campaign way back in when it launched as an independent brand in 2005. And I remember, I don't know how many of you have seen it or were part of the target audience over the last 10 years, but there was this campaign internally that we called the orgasm film or the classroom film, where it's a roll call. And so it took us about 6 months of time to actually get that script right, and there wasn't a metric that we used to figure out whether that script was right or not. It was just gut feeling, right? It was ticking all the boxes that we said our ad script should tick, but something wasn't feeling right, right? And when the script and the thought did feel right, the words that they were using, the brand tagline, wasn't sounding right. It wasn't emotionally connecting, right? So for the first 3 years, Fastrack ran the campaign that ran the tagline, how many you have, right? Which was a grammatically incorrect tagline, right? The precursor to that, the exact same script, the exact same thought, was keep collecting, right? Now the thought was the same, but when you say keep collecting, it wasn't sort of, at the heart of it, it wasn't touching anybody. There wasn't any emotional chord being being pulled, right? So we loved everything, but we didn't like the tagline. We said just make it. I mean, the youth don't speak correct English anymore, you know. So just speak the language they speak, and you'll be able to communicate exactly the same thing to them better. After all of that, finally got into shoot, and what happened in the shoot was very different. What happened in the first 10 edits of the film was very different, right? We just kept chopping and changing. The first edit had about 10 to 15 girls orgasm. Okay, apologies in case I'm offending any sensibilities here. And again, we just told them that, look, why are you overdoing it? And I could see them overdoing it at the shoot. There were a bunch of guys behind the camera, including the director, and every time a girl orgasmed, they loved it. So they kept making this one girl in the pink skirt do her take again and again and again. So I knew where this was going. When they presented the first time, I was like, you know, I got the point after the third orgasm. You made the point to me, right? After that, you went on and on that I've got lost in the orgasms and I've forgotten what the original story was, right? It took us another 10 edits to cut that down to exactly 3. And when we finally put that on air, we actually, by then I was so frazzled, I threw all metrics and acronyms and formulae out of my head. I just took my laptop and went stood outside Christ College at 3 o'clock when they came out. And this was the third day. We were all taught in B school that it takes 7 to 10 days for you to see any effect of any TV campaign, given that you spend so much money and so many GRPs and a lot of formula. Marketing teaches you a lot of formula. Not much of it is required. And in the first 4-5 kids that I met, and I showed them, 80% of them, which would have been 4 out of the 5 kids I met initially, had either seen it or heard about it, right? That's when I knew the balance we were attempting to achieve has worked. And I can tell you, no formula again taught us this. If we had kept those 10 orgasms instead of the 3, it would have fallen off that fine balance and become a little too crude and crass and trying too hard to get attention, right? And that's always the challenge. How do you make your point and just leave it there just in time, right? This gut that I think individually we've spoken about, yeah, I mean, whatever the metrics were saying, you heard the quality of excitement in those college kids' voices, and you knew that this was going to get talked about. We didn't have much money. We put 1.5 crore on one TV campaign for 12 months. That's it. Right? So, these are some things. Do not underestimate your gut. Go beyond the data, listen. You know, you may have a negative net promoter score, but if you're listening and you're understanding why they're reacting to your product, and you know by tweaking something you can improve it before going live, listen to that, right? And make that change, invest in that extra time, go live. And the moment you start hearing what you know you want to hear, right? If it starts with one person, go to the next person and say, okay, is the next person going to say the same thing? The more you start hearing what you want to hear about your product, the more you know that I just need to put money behind this, reach this out to people, and I can scale up this. If you're not getting that, forget about the money. Please don't waste the investor's money, which is your money sitting in your bank. Till you get that instinct, which you can get with a small handful of people when you start off. Right? Don't throw more monies behind buying media till you reach that.
Right.
Okay, I have spent around 14 years in brand marketing, and my most exciting stint was with BlackBerry when, so I was the first hire for brand marketing in India at BlackBerry smartphones, and then ended up heading the brand for the APAC region. And way back in 2008, 2009, BlackBerry was a brand of dads and CEOs and CIOs, and then there was this whole task of taking the brand to the masses, to the consumers, to the younger genre. And that was a huge task because every dipstick that I did on the planet with Nielsen, with the GfK of the world, every single 16-year-old, 18-year-old gave a thumbs down to BlackBerry saying, oh no, this is my dad's phone. Maybe when I become a boring professional is when I'm going to use a BlackBerry. And that was, by the way, 2008, 2009. By the end of 2010, we actually became the most popular brand in the Indian market. and the most admirable brand. In fact, a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old was texting his glory on a BlackBerry Messenger. Now that did not happen just like that, miracle. It happened because there was a game plan, and there was something that we found. And I really urge each one of you, wherever you go, whether it is personal life or professional life, find that affinity. Consumer affinity is very important. At times we call it listening, few people call it net promoter score, but there is something called sweet spot of association. That one thing because of which your consumer is going to like you as a brand, is going to use you. Now that has to have two, very important, it's got to have two fingers. One, the rational affinity, the reason why I would take it, and that has to be product intrinsic. So for example, BlackBerry Messenger was the only instant messenger at that point in time. And for college goers, for school students, for group people, there was no WhatsApp, right? BlackBerry Messenger was the first instant messenger. So we found that. I spent my days and days in colleges of Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Indonesia, in Jakarta, in Malaysia, in Philippines, in Vietnam, in Australia. And I realized that yes, the whole team realized that there is an association, there is an affinity towards texting. So that was the rational connection. And then comes the emotional connection. And that emotional connection came with the brand. That yes, you're owning a BlackBerry in your hand. So you're like, you feel nice. It was an extension of your personality. So very important that each one of us, and both in personal and professional life, and I'm again saying personal life too, you've got to have a connection. And it's no one but you who can drive that connection, who can understand that connection. I can have a connection with my friend, my boyfriend, my husband, or whoever. There has to be a connection. There has to be a reason why I am with a person. And similarly, a consumer got to have a reason why he's with you. There are not always impulsive buys. There are buys, and even if it is an impulsive buy, there is some bout of rational and emotional quantity in it. So that is very important, and I learned that lesson, and I really urge everyone to really get that right. And secondly, very important, I'm not sure, I don't know how many of you will relate to me with this, and because this is a bit rebellious, we live in an era of hire and fire and performance, 3 months, I didn't get the result, fire the person. If you are investing in a marketer, and if you are investing in marketing strategy, please have faith in the marketer. He's not foolish. He's seeing through the brand beyond the way an investor can, a stockholder can, and even a CEO can. So please have faith in the person. Brands are not built in 3 months. It takes time, it takes consistency, it takes effort, and it takes compassion to make a brand. Yes, Uber happens, yes, WhatsApp happens, but yes, not every time this can happen. So have trust in the marketer.
Guys, so we'll open up to Q&A. Do we have any questions? Right back there.
Hi, I'm Bhavesh, and I'm into education. And I want to ask you a question that, like, when you started, like, when you have a good product and you get a good feedback from your customers, you're still a small company. And, and you want to reach out to a lot of people, and there are only limited marketing channels, like you do online marketing, or like, there is like less, I don't see a lot of innovation, personally, in like marketing channels. So what's the mindset, like, because if you succeed, you can always look back and you can be like, oh, this worked or that failed. But when things like, when you're new, and you're trying to figure out different ways to market, like how did you guys go about it? And like, did you just like test the waters, try out different things, or like be more structured, like believe in the product, get good feedback?
So this relation, right? Let's say it's education for the K-12 segment. Okay. Now you have a choice of taking up a hoarding out there, sort of doing a radio spot, taking an ad, or actually setting up a counter, getting onto a parental blog, or actually face-to-face meeting people. If you realize that what is different about your product cannot be done justice to by just printing it and taking a photograph and putting it out there, because everyone is taking beautiful photographs and using beautiful words. And you feel what differentiates you is really the philosophy, right? You need to explain that in person, right? So you'd be much better off going to and identifying what is your lowest hanging fruit. And what that means is, where can you find like-minded consumers who are waiting for someone like you to come into the education sector, right? Only they don't know that you exist, right? Where do you find those people? Will I find them on the Zen Parent blog? Will I find them at an educational fair? Will I just find them outside Greenwood High, right? Or is there some play area here, Funky Monkey on 1MG Road, where parents come to, entertain their kids, right? There's no cost to that. There's a lot of time to that, and there's you involved personally, right? If I were you, that's where I would begin, okay? Because today there's a dime or dozen education institutions that have hoardings all down the Sajapur Road. They've now started advertising on radio. Yeah, one spot sounds better than the other, one photograph looks better than the other, but there's no difference. It's a little bit here and there. But so education is something that impacts a consumer's life and impacts children, and parents invest a lot of time in that today, especially a certain strata of society. We're not just worried about marks, but what is the philosophy with which you're teaching my child? Figure out where you can find those people.
Hi, engage with them. Engagement definitely would lead to monetization.
Like, because I'm into social and emotional learning, it's a B2B thing. I deal with principles.
Hi there. Just wanted to understand, when we talk about marketing, right from the day you are building the product. So either you are a single member team or a 2-member team, or once the product starts developing or you're working on the product, marketing is an ongoing activity from that day on. Now, if you were to look at specifically startups, and let's say you are at a stage wherein you have just built an MVP, something which can be tested out, and you can test it with a couple of customers, primarily from the retail perspective. So, how do you measure that these are the activities that you should be doing, and this is how you should know that yes, I am on the right track? At a very, very initial level, I'm talking about an MVP stage wherein might be, you hardly have any budgets to talk of marketing even. So at that stage onwards, might be with a limited budget, let's say monthly, you can spare some couple of thousands to just try it out. And as of date, I'm sure social media is the best way to try it out. You can, on the Facebook, you can start off ad or booster post with some as low as 50 rupees or 100 rupees, something like that. So keeping that in mind, just wanted to understand, so what should be the initial plan at a very early stage of the product?
You can do is again have a short-term goal in mind that okay, in 3 months' time I want to have say 3,000 transacting customers. Now I'm not sure if it is a B2B space or B2C space, but if it is a B2B space, say let's say 5 to 6 customers are a good customer count. But let's say if it is a B2C space, you say that okay, in 3 months time I'm going to have at least 3,000 transacting customers. Okay, now that's goal number 1. Now to get those 3,000 transacting customers, there are different communication mediums available. Now Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they all are very, very important channels and helps you to do low cost marketing. Other thing you can do is, and I really urge people to do so, and it has really worked well for the startups that I consult, is PR. So get to some kind of PR engagements, and PR really doesn't mean just getting an article appeared in Economic Times or a Times of India, but write a lot of content-rich content marketing. Go ahead and engage bloggers who are in that space. So let's say if you're a lifestyle product, then there are dimes and dozens of lifestyle bloggers out there. So you would get in, you will get to that kind of audience. Let's say a lifestyle blogger who has 50,000 followers on Twitter just one post by this person will get you that kind of a reach. The third thing, which I think you dwelled on very, very beautifully, is the places where your consumers are most likely to be there. You identify those inner circles. And inner circle, I mean, is that, okay, this is the group is most likely going to buy my product. And then just go razor focus on those groups. So I'll give you an example. When we knew that BlackBerry has to be sold to 16-year-olds and 18-year-olds, I spent most of my time in colleges and razor focus sharp events and engagements with the crowd in the colleges. We did not spend too much on TV commercials, we did not spend too much on any other marketing, but college. So have that razor focus sharp strategy that yes, this is the group which is most likely to buy, and this is my low-hanging fruit, and then go ahead. And another thing very important here is do not be in a rush. I see that with every second startup, you get 3,000 and then you want 10,000 suddenly in one fine day. Nurture that 3,000. Don't let those 3,000 go away. At least that should be your focus for the next, whatever, at least the next 3 months. That how do I nurture these 3,000 so that they get me additional 5,000. So that's, yeah.
So after about 18 years of working, I've turned entrepreneur 5 months ago. I'm currently doing my marketing with zero marketing budgets. We developed MVP phase 1 and then said, okay, we think these age groups of consumers, it will appeal to, and called up friends and family, accosted people we knew randomly wherever we were standing at a coffee shop, exchanged numbers saying we'd just like to come and meet you, right? And that's what we've done, right? We did that based on the feedback